Hello, everybody. Spider-Man and I are excited because look who's back with the Avengers. It's Giant Man in a fancy new outfit. The title is Among Us Walks a Goliath. Sounds like a name change is about to happen. Let's read the story. All right, here we have Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Captain America, and Quicksilver in their headquarters. What's going on here? Returning to their headquarters after having foiled Atuma's attack to conquer mankind, the weary Avengers are surprised to hear an urgent summons on their private alarm system, but their surprises have only begun. Quicksilver says it's from a scientist named Henry Pym. He wants us to help him find the Wasp. Hawkeye asks, who's Pym? What's his connection with her? Remember, at this point, the Avengers don't really know all these secret identities of their former members. And Scarlet Witch asks, is she in danger? Captain America says, we'd better learn more about this. I'll take the mic, Pietro. Exactly 10 seconds later, Cap says, he said she escaped from Atuma, but since then she's been missing. She should have returned to him on his ship hours ago. And from a scientific exploratory vessel out at sea, the grim voice of Henry Pym makes a startling announcement. Send someone to pick me up and bring me to Avengers headquarters immediately. It won't take long in your rocket jet air car. Our rocket jet air car? Of course, says Pym. Have you so soon forgotten the voice of Giant Man? And so for the first time, the Avengers learn the secret identity of Giant Man. It's Henry Pym. All right. We knew that all along, didn't we? And back on the ship, Henry says, I had to reveal my true identity. Secrecy means nothing now, not when Jan may be in danger. Only a summons from Giant Man will bring them here in time. And you can see his thoughts are only of Janet Van Dyne. And downcast, he thinks, if only I hadn't let her transform herself into the Wasp once more. I should have insisted we stay in retirement, but I had no choice. The need was there, and at heart we'll both always be Avengers. While back at the famous mansion of Anthony Stark, Cap says, at last we know High Pocket's secret identity. By High Pockets, he means Giant Man, whose pockets are way up high, right? I'd never have guessed he was Henry Pym, but there's no time for that now. Hawkeye, take the rocket jet and bring Pym to us on the double. Me? Complains Hawkeye. Since when am I your chauffeur? Look, mister, I didn't ask you. That was an order. Now, if you disobey a direct command when a fellow Avenger needs help, okay, don't get your wings in an uproar. I'll go. At least I won't have to listen to you for a while. We'll expect you back within the hour, says Cap. Now, take off. Sure, Tiger, sure. Anyone ever tell you how your eyes sparkle when you're angry? At that very moment, many miles away, the wonderful Wasp awakens to find I'm trapped. Of course, that's what happens to the Wasp. She's the damsel in distress. And she says, I've been imprisoned in some sort of glass cage. But how? By whom? Ah, my tiny sleeping beauty has opened her eyes at last. This mysterious voice speaks off panel. And then she thinks, at last, I remember I reached Avengers headquarters, radioed Hank that I'd return right away, and then blackness. This all happened off panel. We didn't see that happen. And there's a mysterious hand reaching toward the glass cage. He says, and now it is time for you to join the rest of my collection. Collection? Asks the Wasp. And look, here's our new supervillain. He says, of course, forgive me for not introducing myself. I am the Collector. I have spent a lifetime secretly collecting the greatest prizes of all. In fact, I see one of my most recent acquisitions approaching me now. Who can that be? Well, look, we remember him. He's the Beetle. And so the Collector says, now that I have the Wasp, I want the rest of the Avengers. I must have a complete set. I'll go for them at once, says the Beetle. No, says the Collector, remain here on guard. I have a better idea. I shall call the Avengers. Let them come to me. Now that I have a supervillain in my collection, I'll add a team of superheroes. Even the mighty Avengers will be no match for the Collector. Well, he doesn't sound so powerful. He just collects things. We have butterfly collectors and stamp collectors. Well, we'll find out more about him as we go along. Now that everything is all up in the air in typical Marvel fashion, we might as well return to Stark's mansion, where Henry Pym has just arrived. Good work, Hawkeye, says Cap. You brought him back in record time. Goody gumdrops, teacher. Where's my gold star? Tell me quickly, asks Hank. Have you had any word from the Wasp? Not yet, Pym, but don't worry. We'll find her. And welcome back to the team, Avenger. Hawkeye asks, how can you be so sure he's the real giant man, Winghead? What if he's a phony? Don't worry, Hawkeye. There's one way he can prove who he is. All he has to do is change size for us. But Pym says, I don't know if I can, Cap. It's been so long. But then a new voice is heard. This is the Collector. If you wish to see the Wasp again, alive, you must come to the following address, all of you. And after the address has been given to the astonished group of adventurers, Scarlet Witch says, the Collector? I never heard of him. Nor did I, say Quicksilver. She's in danger, says Pym. We must leave at once. Not so fast, Mr. Pym, says Cap. Pym says, that's Dr. Pym to you. That wee bit doesn't cut any ice until you prove yourself, adds Cap. But then Henry says, one of the reasons I resigned from the Avengers was I realized that changing size so often was dangerous to my body. The unimaginable strain might someday be fatal. That sounds reasonable, says Cap, but we still need proof. I know. I've got to convince you, no matter what. I can only attain one height now, 25 feet. I dare not vary my sizes as I did before, and I must remain that height for 15 minutes. If I change any sooner or any later than that, the strain can be too much. But now, stand back. Wait, says Scarlet Witch. You have no costume. I never told anyone, but I've been sewing a new outfit in case you ever did return. I'll get it. Well, how convenient. She says, I made it of the special stretch fabric you had left behind months ago. Well, let's see it, Wanda. But hurry, says Pym. Every moment's delay is keeping me from the Wasp. And as the Scarlet Witch dashes into the next room. Look, Pym, if you think changing size will be harmful to you, forget it. Let us go after the girl alone. Never! Would you expect me to desert her when she needs me? Strange talk coming from you, Cap. Sorry, I should have known the real giant man would dare anything for the Wasp. Then a scant few seconds later, there he is, dressed in his new outfit in blue and yellow. Wanda says, "How do you like it, Mr. Pym? You're a talented designer, young lady, but I wouldn't care if it fit like a tent right now. All I want to do is go after the Wasp. We'll have to step outside where there's more room. Then let's waste no more time. Become Giant Man before our eyes, and we'll accept you back into the ranks." Hawkeye says he's a phony. He'll never do it. Quicksilver is more positive. He says that remains to be seen. "And so, don't you have to take any special pills or potions?" "Not any longer. My nervous system is now so conditioned that I can execute my size change by mental command. I only will myself to grow. Nothing's happening. I knew he was a fake." That Hawkeye. "Give him time. Remember, he's out of practice." Whoa! Then suddenly, with dazzling dynamic speed, Quicksilver says, "What do you have to say now, Hawkeye?" I say, "Welcome to the Avengers, pal." "There can be no doubt," says Cap. "You're a real Goliath." Goliath. I like the sound of that, and that's what I'll call myself from now on, Goliath. Giant Man always sounded rather corny to me. "Well, that suits us," says Cap. "Pietro, get the rocket jet. Move. Start shrinking, Goliath. We've got us a gal to rescue." Then, exactly 15 minutes later, when it's safe for Henry Pym to return to normal size so that he will fit into the speedy air car, the most dramatic cry in adventuredom rings out in bold defiance. "Avengers, assemble!" It is indeed a thrill to be going into action with another of the original Avengers. Thanks, Quicksilver. I hope I haven't grown rusty during my absence. And then he thinks, why is Hawkeye so strangely silent? That is strange for Hawkeye to be silent. But Hawkeye is thinking. The amazing archer is lost in his own private thoughts. I always hoped Methuselah would someday retire, then I might be Avengers leader. But now with Goliath here, I'm just another also-ran. What a crummy break. Cap says, "Reduce speed, Pietro. This is the spot." Hawkeye says, "That collector cat must be a mountain goat. Who else would hole up in a nowheresville place like this?" Cap says, "We followed his directions to the letter. Quicksilver had better scout ahead." "You always manage to get someone to do the legwork." Giant Man says, "What's wrong, Hawkeye? What's your beef?" Cap says, "You'll get used to him, Hank. Every group has its little sunbeam, and he is ours." Well, he's not much of a sunbeam. He complains all the time. Do y'all know anybody who complains all the time? Not much fun to be around someone like that. "Oh, yeah," retorts Hawkeye. "Let me tell you, Winghead." "Clam up," says Cap. "Pietro spotted something. That opening in the rocks, it wasn't there a second ago." So Hawkeye is speeding around, checking out the surroundings. Careful, all of you, the cliff is moving. It's some sort of concealed entranceway. So, there's something sneaky about this place. "Quicksilver was right," says Cap. "There's a building, a castle, actually hidden within these desolate hills. The collector must be inside." Hawkeye says, "It looks like an old stage set from Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. That's an old movie. I bet y'all would like it. Papa needs to see if I can find that movie for y'all to watch. Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Well, moving on. Cap says, "Wait, don't waste a precious arrow yet, Hawkeye. They're my arrows, Curly, and no one tells me what to do with them." But I'm not shooting one. I'm just testing my bow's resiliency. Satisfied? I'm sorry. Goliath says, if the wasp is somewhere within those walls, I'll find her if I have to tear that place apart, stone by stone. Cap warns, as we approach, don't make any rash moves till we learn what we're up against. Hawkeye says, is it okay to breathe without your permission? Cap says, in your case, I'd rather you didn't. Yeah, hold your breath. Bring! Ah, says the collector, my electronic warning alarm. Then he says to Wasp, your fellow Avengers are here to be added to my ever-growing collection. All right, Cap warns, not so fast, Pietro. Stay with us. I don't like the looks of this passageway. And Quicksilver thinks, nor do I, for why is it shaped this way? And Hank says, Cap has taken as easily to Avengers leadership as though he were born for the role, and perhaps he was. Well, I think so. I'm glad I told Hawkeye to wait outside. This has trap written all over it. We can't go any further, says Quicksilver. We've come to a dead end. A solid slab of steel is in front of us. Is it my imagination? Asks Cap. Or, no, it's what I feared. The walls are closing in. There's no room to run or to turn. Whoever the collector is, he's as dangerous as any foe we've ever faced. We're each separated, walled in like mice. It's up to Hawkeye now. And look how the walls are closing in. They're set at an angle so that each person is in his own cubicle. But then a cold, cruel voice rings out. Alas, the one you call Hawkeye is now as helpless as you, for he is now receiving the same quantity of sleep gas as his 4 helpless allies. And so my collection increases once again. Then when the valiant quintet means 5, has recovered consciousness, they're all strung up. The collector says, you are all the same size. Where is Giant Man? I must have him to complete my collection. I need both the Wasp and Giant Man to have a full set. So he doesn't recognize Goliath in his new outfit. Then, upon hearing the name of the woman he loves, Henry Pym shoots up to his full, towering, gigantic height. The Wasp! Where is she? I said, where is she? And the collector realizes, Giant Man, that I have caught you. I have. Perhaps, says Pym, but you haven't caught Goliath. Now talk, collector. Yes, I will. I'll describe some of the wonders of my collection. The Wasp, says Pym. I'm only interested in her. But I must first tell you of my cape. It was made from a piece of the flying carpet of Persia, which I collected. So his cape is made out of a flying carpet. So look, he's flying. And that's what Goliath thinks. He's actually flying, held up by his cape. That would be a great cape, wouldn't it? Do you think that can save you from a reach the size of mine? Of course it can, long enough for me to employ another one of my collector's items. Hey, High Pockets, says Hawkeye, cut us loose. Let us help you. And Cap says, don't take any chances with him. We fight as a team, remember? But before another move can be made, thwack! This rock, this stone, this boulder. That was one of the catapults I collected as a relic from the Middle Ages. And Hawkeye says, he's still standing. The big guy must be as strong as he looks. And Quicksilver answers, why else would his name be Legend? Come on, pal, get us out of here while you can. And then he says, crack. Easy, easy. You could crush a guy with those fingers. So Hawkeye says, hurry. And then he says, oh, be careful. There, says Goliath. Now let's find the Wasp. Hawkeye realizes the Collector's making a break for it, but Quicksilver says he won't get away from us. After him, quickly. I cannot become normal sized for another quarter of an hour. These ceilings are too low for me. You will have to race ahead. He's racing down those stairs. There must be a dungeon below. Perhaps the Wasp is there. Cap says, keep up as best you can. We won't let you down, Hank. As Goliath squeezes through that arched doorway, says, I'm like a grown-up trapped in a dollhouse. I can barely squeeze through these stone archways, but the others are wasting no time. They're true Avengers, every one of them. And Cap's done a great job molding them into a solid fighting team. We can't wait for Hank, says Cap. If we fall back, the Collector could hide anywhere. Keep going, Quicksilver. And Hawkeye asks, but what if he's running in the wrong direction? We've got to take that chance. It won't take him long to retrace his steps if he has to. Call it a sixth sense. Call it a woman's intuition. Call it what you will, but at that instant the quick-witted Scarlet Witch cries out in alarm, look out! There's someone above us! He's about to pounce! Take cover, both of you, says Cap. He's capable of anything. I recognize him. He's the Beetle. And Hawkeye says, so that's who he is. He's the creep who attacked me back at headquarters before I took off for Atuma. Do you remember that? Do you remember when Hawkeye went into the chair to remember the magic number, to recall the message? There was somebody there. And then when Hawkeye woke up, he fought against him and ensnared him with his bolo arrow. But when he came back, he was gone. The Collector must have rescued him and brought him to this castle to fight against the Avengers. And the Beetle thinks, this is my chance. Perhaps if I capture the Avengers for him, the Collector will give me the antidote for the obedience potion he has fed to me, and I'll be free again. And so that answers the question we've all been asking. Why is the Beetle obeying the Collector? The Collector has fed him an obedience potion, and that's what the Collector intends to do to the Avengers, to make them obey him. But the Avengers have got to defeat the Beetle and stop the Collector, rescue the Wasp, and escape before all of that happens. And we'll see if they can do all of that the next time we gather and watch the Avengers assemble. The new Avengers, this time with the old Avengers, Goliath and the Wasp. I can't wait. We'll finish this story next time. All right. Love y'all. Bye-bye for now.